Welcome to the dedication of community, African American freedom, perseverance, and leadership during migration. We're very proud of this exhibition. I have a couple notes I'm sorry I need to use because there are people here I have to reference. But if you would for me imagine Frank Mcwhorter, a Kentucky slave who purchased first the freedom of his wife, then his son, then himself, and then his son, and came to Illinois to become the first black man to plat a town in America, New Philadelphia, 1836. Imagine, around the same time, Priscilla Baltimore, a woman enslaved in New Orleans who purchased her own freedom, tracked her father down in southern Missouri to purchase the freedom of her mother. The two of them fled to St. Louis, and shortly thereafter across the river in Illinois, where they would begin a community that became the first incorporated black city in America, Brooklyn, Illinois. Now imagine, some 25 years after that, a young, enterprising Annie Turnbow Malone moves from Peoria, Illinois, to that same town of Brooklyn, Illinois, to begin building a hair product empire that would create America's first African-American female millionaire. Stories like these remind me that our history is often invisible. It's invisible around us all the time. These stories particularly remind me of a line from Ralph Ellison's famous Invisible Man from the 1950s that said, "When I discover who I am, I will be free." And exhibitions like this one help put form to the invisible and help us understand where we come from and the history that precedes us. I need to make sure that everyone understands this exhibition was curated as a result of long research by our newly former curator of history, Lottie Fittis, who has moved on to the world of education. She's with us here in spirit today, and community is really her baby. It's her creation. So along with Lottie, I want to make sure and thank some people. The New Philadelphia Association, Gerald Mcwhorter and Katie Williams, also affiliated with New Philadelphia. Agbara Bryson, whose incredible research and items that he has provided to these exhibitions has really deepened the experience of the shows, and the Illinois State Archaeological Survey. So this exhibition is important. It will be here until November 1st, and we hope you come multiple times to experience these amazing stories. So without further ado, please let me introduce the president and CEO of Peoria Riverfront Museum. I think you know him pretty well, Mr. John Morse.
Is that awesome? Annie Minerva Turnbow Malone, proud product of the greatest city in America, Peoria, Illinois. From here to St. Louis to the world. Community. What an appropriate title for this exhibition. Let the word go out from this place to the world that community, in all of its rich diversity, of its storytelling potential to change the world, community plays in Peoria. Community. Today is a very special day to gather with you all on behalf of our board of directors at this privately funded extraordinary museum of art, science, history, and achievement, the only one of its kind in the nation, living in a public house, the county's house. We here today come together, but not for the last time, right? We come together to celebrate these stories in ways that a museum can do. We are here not as a building, not as the extraordinary artifacts that belong to history that tell these stories. Those are not what a museum is. A museum is the people seeking to inspire each other and be inspired by each other. And when you see this exhibition and the work that's gone into it, it is the beginning. It is the beginning of a special celebration of the diversity of our greatness. I want to say something about our board of directors, past and present, and we've got a couple past board members with us I want to recognize. Rosemary McCullough, stand up, Rosemary, past board member and member of the Visionary Society and head of the African American Hall of Fame and Museum. Sally Snyder, a trustee emeritus on the board. Sally, where are you? Former president of the school board here. We welcome in this house thousands of Peoria public school students every year, and now East Peoria, and now more and more schools with the Every Student Initiative. And it always gives me pleasure to recognize the officials who help steward the young people, the potential, and the president of the school board is with us today. Greg Wilson, thank you, sir, for being back again here with us. On behalf of the board and the staff, let me now bring up a dynamic young leader who speaks for the pride of Peoria as much as anybody I've known, my friend and fairly newly elected member of the City Council, the great City Council of Peoria, Councilman Andre Allen and Akbara Bryson. Come forward. I think you'll bring Akbara forward. Andre Allen.
Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for sharing this special time, this special day. I know there are a lot of things that you could be doing. Today is a busy day, and without you all and sharing this day, Annie Malone's story will still be hidden. So I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart, even you, Jarrell, from the bottom of my heart for showing up. We had people as far as New Mexico that came, St. Louis, Chicago, Pittsburgh, to come and share this moment. And these are the moments that we want to continue. A lot of important people, I can't name them all. Dave Kaler, we have John, we have Joshua, we have Joe, we have Doug. Okay, that's enough. We have Sherry, but thank you so much. Got my lawyer over there, keep me out of trouble. But I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up. So thank you, God bless you. And here is one of the most dynamic up-and-coming young men. Were you in my Harvest and Dreams program?
I was.
And he's in my Harvest and Dreams program. So let's give him a round of applause for Mr. Andre Allen. Thank you.
I've known Mr. Bryson since I was a young lad, and I think everyone in this room knows when Mr. Bryson calls, you pull up. So no, I wouldn't be anywhere else. On behalf of the city of Peoria, I have a proclamation that I would like to read with you all today. I'm standing in for Mayor Ali, so those are some size 13 shoes to fill, but I'm gonna do my best. Whereas Annie Minerva Turnbow Malone was born on August 9th, 1877 in Metropolis, Illinois, considered to be one of the first African-American female millionaires. She made her fortune creating a successful business focusing on cosmetics and hair care products. And whereas in 1896, the teenage Miss Malone moved to Peoria to live with her sister, Ada Mooney. It was here where she excelled in chemistry classes at Peoria High School, shout out to Central. Even though health problems forced her to withdraw, the determined young Miss Malone was well on her way to establishing her career path. She practiced hairdressing with her sister, and using her knowledge of chemistry, she started experimenting and developing her own beauty products. And whereas after a brief move to Brooklyn, Illinois, where she finalized her product line, Miss Malone began selling her products door to door, building her empire one household at a time. And whereas in 1902, she moved to St. Louis, this would prove to be the most influential and productive time of her life. It was here where she would expand her business into a storefront, broaden her marketing efforts into advertisement and press events, and enhance her sales force by recruiting employees and establishing a training program for her staff. And whereas in 1918, she established Peoria College, named after one of the best-known products, and on a campus opened a school manufacturing plant, a retail store, a cafeteria, residential facilities, a gymnasium, a bakery, and a chapel. This area was served as a popular community hub for the African American residents of the area. And whereas she was well known for her philanthropic business as her business acumen, she was a generous donor to the YMCA, Howard University College of Medicine, and the St. Louis Orphans Home, later renamed the Annie Malone Children and Family Service Center. A parade in her name and honor is held on May Day every year in St. Louis. And whereas with the middle name of Minerva, it's easy to see the parallels between the Roman goddess of wisdom, arts, trade, strategy, and victory in many successes that Annie Minerva Turbo Malone would enjoy as a result of her intelligence, savvy, and hard work. Therefore, I, Andre Allen, Peoria City Council person of the City of Peoria, Illinois, on behalf of Mayor Ali, the Mayor of Peoria of the City Council, do hereby acknowledge the career and legacy of Miss Annie Malone in Peoria, Illinois, dated this 26th day of August 21 AD. Thank you.
We've got some extraordinary people gathered. I would say this is probably the highest concentration of Annie Turbo Malone fans that there has been in a long, long time. Just so many of you work in the legacy of Annie Malone. And we're gonna hear from you. But if you work voluntarily or professionally for some institution connected to this extraordinary story, raise your hand or stand up if you would. I want to recognize everybody here who is doing something related to Annie Malone. Look at this. Amazing. And we're going to hear from some folks today. But first, by the way, Akbara, is he extraordinary or what? Let's give this guy, I've been 4.5 years the CEO of this museum, and I think it was the first week on the job. I was down the hall, and Akbara had, 10 family members in visiting the museum. I said, I'm John. He said, I know. I said, I know you, Akbara. I knew him as James at the time, and Akbara. And I said, what are you working on? He said, I've got a story the museum's got to tell. And in steps Bill Conger. He said, this is the story. And that's what I'm telling you, Akbara. This is the beginning. We're going to hold up this torch. This is an example for everybody. Everybody. And Peoria's got to be very proud of this. So thank you for everything you've done. Now, we also celebrate some other extraordinary stories, and Bill Conger referenced them earlier. New Philadelphia. Now, I've brought a lot of historians through who did not know the story of New Philadelphia. But that is going to change, folks. That is going to change. And we have with us to talk about that story Mary Nell Corton of the New Philadelphia Association. She's going to give us an update on what's happening from New Philadelphia and the story of New Philadelphia. Please come forward.
Hi, I'm really pleased to be here today, and I'm the executive director, voluntary, I have to underline that, executive director of New Philadelphia, because all the people that are trying to preserve New Philadelphia are volunteers. My husband was sitting way over there, Jerry Corton, is our treasurer, and Carol McCartney is back somewhere. Carol? Okay, she's standing up over there, and she has been a board member almost since the beginning, and they were formed in 1996. When I got the call that this museum wanted to have Free Frank as part of this exhibit, I was almost as excited as I was when I heard that Annie Malone was going to be here too, because I had found out about Annie Malone when I was trying to study New Philadelphia and see what was going on in the 1920s. Because we mistakenly thought for a long time that the town was formed around 1836 and kind of dropped off the map around 1880. Well, it turned into a settlement rather than a town around 1880, but there were still some families living there and in the farming community around it way up until about 1929 or in the early 1930s. And one of the people that I found was Hermes Zimmerman, and he's another unknown, but hopefully somewhere along the line you will hear about Hermes Zimmerman. He is a stepson of George Mcwhorter, and George Mcwhorter was one of the grandsons of Free Frank Mcwhorter. And Hermes wrote music living out in the New Philadelphia area. He also sold encyclopedia Bibles with Annie Malone's husband, the semi-villain of the story, but back before all of that, they sold Bibles together. And when Annie Malone opened her new building in St. Louis, there was a big celebration, and Hermes Zimmerman led the chorus there. So long story short, Hermes Zimmerman and New Philadelphia have a tie-in with Annie Malone. But let me tell you about New Philadelphia for a minute or two. Free Frank, as you may know, was born a slave in South Carolina, and it is widely understood that his dad was his owner, and the dad moved him to Kentucky, and then he trusted him so much that he left him in Kentucky running his farm and allowed him to work on the side to earn some money on his own, and said that he would free him, but it didn't get done until after his death. And so then the sons negotiated a deal with Frank in 1819, and he got his freedom for $800. 2 years before that, he'd already gotten his wife and next to be born child for the same amount. Then they all moved to Pike County, Illinois in 1831. As the book says, the Pike County history book, the first white man in Hadley Township, because that's how it always started, the first white man in Hadley Township was a black man. Free Frank and his family were the first to come to that township. So that was pretty cool right there. Anyway, he had bought one child himself, his pregnant wife, prior to all of this, and he needed more ways to earn money to buy the rest of the family. They eventually bought about 15 family members. So in 1836, he was the first African-American man to plat and register a town in the United States, and he called it New Philadelphia. And it was a multiracial town, which is really, 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 really important. Because he could have platted and registered any old town he wanted to, but if nobody would come live there, then there would have been a problem. It was a stop on the Underground Railroad, and it's known that the Mcwhorters would help people to Canada. And part of the way we know that they knew about Canada was that his oldest son had to escape to Canada, other than for fear. There was a hassling going on between the Mcwhorters and his wife's owners, and the wife's owners threatened to sell his oldest son, so he escaped to Canada. So they had, and lived up there 3 or 4 years. So they had a lot of history of knowing how to go back and forth. But anyway, the history of New Philadelphia isn't as well known as it should be, but we are working on that. And right now we have a bill, H.R. 820, in the House of Representatives to have New Philadelphia become a unit of the National Park Service. And this really needs to happen. It's been voted out of committee and is waiting for a full vote in the House. So I'm just thrilled to be a part of these 3 American icons. And that's what Mother Baltimore, Annie, and Frank are. So we need to keep trying to get the word out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary Nell, so much. Now to talk about the other extraordinary city that needs to be known by all, Brooklyn, Illinois. We have with us today the former mayor of Brooklyn, Illinois, Nathaniel Nat O'Bannon. Please help me welcome, representing one of the extraordinary historic cities in American history, Brooklyn, Illinois. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to start off by saying that I thank God for having a safe trip here from where I'm from. I'm here to represent Roberta, that's the president foster of the Historical Society, as well as Joe Gallo and other members of the campuses that have came down to Brooklyn in the years to help get this going. It's been over 100 years. And it's a wonderful thing and an honor to be here and be present here amongst each and every one of you. I find that history is strands of everyone's life, and it begins to build up, and we all begin to find out what it takes for us to live today, as well as what it took for them to live yesterday. But the board of Brooklyn is now putting in their ordinance and everything for preservation, as well as a commission to begin to try and allocate funds from federal level to try to improve our community. It's a beautiful place. I was raised there, and it's a wonderful place, period. However, things look over here, there's a lot of good where I come from. And I thank you very much for welcoming us and the hard work that it took for Brooklyn to be recognized as what it is. It's a wonderful thing that is going on. My father had asked me before he had passed away, and he said, I want you to do something for me. I said, what is that? Can you find out the history of Brooklyn? There's a lot of history. We have one of the Black Negro League players by the name of Joe Prince Henry that was raised in Brooklyn. We have a saxophonist, jazz player by the name of Hammett Blewett. We had a Tuskegee Airman by the name of Bobby Smoot. And we've done a lot of things when I was in office, but I had took ill very bad, and I had to leave it alone. But the hard work and the diligent work that they have done, I am very proud of the people that led that. They gave me the strength to continue on. But like I said, as I took sick, I had to fall back for a long time, and they decided to call me and ask me to come here to represent Brooklyn. There's nothing that I would not do to, my passion for Brooklyn is outstanding. I'm not going to give up. All the work that has been done is not going to be done in vain. However we get it and however we obtain it, as they used to say, whatever means necessary, we're going to continue to live and strive and to continue to build Brooklyn up. It's a wonderful place, like I said. It was founded in 1829 and incorporated in 1873. I had a grandmother there that lived to be 108 years old, passed away in 2005 as I came mayor of Brooklyn. But I am very happy to see such wonderful people here that take interest in our community. It takes a long time for some things to happen for our community, but it takes a short time when we all put our minds together and make it happen. It's a pleasure being here and an honor being here. And I want to thank each and every one of you all that are present here today. And may we continue to strive and put the strands together for Black African American communities throughout. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. God bless Brooklyn. That deserves some applause. I can take it. Well, now I'm going to bring up Team Annie Malone. I'll bring up a number of people who have really worked hard from different corners of the story, and we'll bring them all up together. And I want to start with Linda Nance, who is with the Annie Malone Historical Society, who has become a member of the family here. We have a special connection, and thanks for making the drive back up again today. Jarrell Loveless, the Annie Malone Orphanage is here. Dave Kaler, Senator Dave Kaler, and the General Assembly of the great state of Illinois. Dave Kaler, we're standing in a place that Dave's hard work made possible among many hundreds of others, but Dave is the key man to help bring the museum about in the first place that allows us to do this exhibition. And so, Senator Kaler, thank you for being here. Joshua Gunn, who is in his second year now as the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce of the Peoria area. And Joshua, one of the first things he did is he had coffee mugs made with Annie Malone's face on them. And I will never forget a quick story. Anybody been on a Zoom call in the last 18 months? Today, you've been on Zoom? So, Akbara and I and our curator of history and our chief curator, Bill Cogger, were on a call together to talk over Annie Malone, and Akbara raised a coffee mug that we had given him with the Peoria Riverfront Museum logo on it, and a toast, which we much appreciate, over Zoom. And our curator of history raised the Annie Malone coffee mug back to him and said, "Here you go." And Joshua Gunn, will hear from him as well. And then I mentioned earlier the president of the Peoria Public Schools Board of Directors here, Greg Wilson, is with us. So all Team Annie Malone, all come forward right here, and I'll let you each speak as you will. Let's hear it for Team Annie Malone.
I've got a 4 o'clock meeting, so I'm going to speak first. I came to really at the invitation of Akbara and the book, and I learned something, and this is really what the museum is all about. I mean, I just have been in a number of events where the community comes together and we have some special, unique opportunity to learn something or to celebrate something, and this is really what this place is about. I don't think the museum quite captures all that goes on here. I don't know what to suggest otherwise, but I want to introduce Priscilla Calderon. She's intern with my office, just graduated from Bradley, and so I said, I'm going to a book signing on Annie Malone. I need to know who she is. So do some research, and she said, well, she was I said, well, the first black millionaire was really Madam C.J. Walker. And she said, I don't want to argue with you, but you're really not right. It's Annie Malone. And so I started reading more of the stuff that she was sending me, and I thought, yeah, this is pretty important that we start learning about Peoria and start appreciating Peoria and what goes on here. I will just make two comments. What I saw and I'll read your book about it and see if it's in there as well. But one was her approach to hair products. It was on health. You treat the scalp in a healthy way, and you do things that helps to nourish the body. And this is in the early 1900s. The other was that when you accumulate wealth, you share it. And I mean, just her outlook on life is something that I want to learn a lot more about. I'm going to shut up because there's a lot of people here to talk about it, but what a great celebration. Akbara, congratulations. Yeah, congratulations. I'll take this.
My smile doesn't do it. I am so happy to be here because you are talking about a lady that I have become obsessed with because of all the things that she did, all the things that she gave. The media at one point dubbed Annie Malone a giving freak. Well, that was supposed to be negative, but people talk about getting your freak on. Well, she did that on a regular basis, and she was able to teach 75,000 other people what she felt in here. She felt it, but when you can feel something so strongly that you can convince other people to do it, it's amazing. And she didn't just do it for Illinois, the city of St. Louis, the state of Missouri, the nation of the United States, but she did it for the world. Absolute amazing. And she navigated so many different isms. She navigated so many things that did not include her, did not welcome her. And she let other people know, you don't have to be welcome, you can go get it done. And that was phenomenal. She was what Maya Angelou talked about. She was a phenomenal woman at a time when no woman anywhere of any color could vote. That's amazing. We are an organization, the Annie Malone Historical Society, that doesn't have any walls. We are a computer presence at this particular point. We'd like to have a presence more than we have, but we were able to, in February, open a museum exhibit as a buddy, so to speak. They gave us walls and we gave them lots of information about Annie Malone in the round. We talked about what she did for the community. We talked about what she did to support the arts. We talked about what she did to change the paradigm for women of color everywhere. And it gave us a presence. My last piece is that we are now able to go to Haristo State University. Graduate, all right. Her second building in St. Louis used to be located where the college is right now. In fact, it's right in front of the door of the Emerson Theater. So as I was researching facts to try to make sure they didn't turn me down to show the exhibit in their space, I learned that the second location, the second of her 5 different expansions, was right there. So they're going to allow us to do an exhibit January through June of 2022, allow us to do a play that talks about all that she was able to do from that spot, which was to build that wonderful location on St. Ferdinand, and continue her empire across the world. Annie Malone is a name that I am so happy this place is moving forward and will continue to expand it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Good afternoon, everyone. How are we feeling? I can kind of feel the excitement and emotion in the room today. The years and generations and ancestors that made these types of moments possible are present, and I can feel that energy right now. And makes me kind of emotional because Annie Malone's story is, as you mentioned, being obsessed with it. I have quickly also become obsessed with Annie Malone's story. As a young black man from the South, I'm originally from North Carolina. As a child, I was always passionate about finding about my history, right? What were the stories I wasn't learning in school? And I became a bit of a history nerd. In addition to being an artist and an entrepreneur, now a Chamber of Commerce president, I am a history nerd, particularly Black American history. And I moved to Peoria. I had just watched the Madam C.J. Walker movie on Netflix. And here's what a history nerd does when he watches a biopic. I immediately go to Google to find out the real story, right? I'm not foolish enough to think that the real stories are in the movies, right? And Addie Monroe, I think, was the name of the character in the film. And I'm wondering, who is this person? Is this person even real? And I came across Annie Malone's story. About a year later, I got this job here in Peoria, and I get a call from a brother named Akbar Bryson, who said, "Hey, congratulations on the new job. I want to meet you and tell you about something." That's all he said. So I had a long list of people to meet with that week, but I was very curious to know what this brother had to tell me, and he came and he said, "Have you ever heard of Annie Malone?" I said, strangely enough, I just found out about Annie Malone a year ago. And he said, "So did the rest of the world, but I bet you don't know Annie Malone was from Peoria." And light bulb goes off for me. And he and I have talked, I don't know, once a week, once every other week since then about the ways that we can work together to celebrate Annie. And those coffee mugs, Akbar made the coffee mugs. I just asked him to make them and sent them out to our CEO Council members. And the reason I did that is because I stood up in a CEO Council meeting and said, why aren't we telling the amazing Black history stories in Peoria? Have you all ever heard of Annie Malone? And very few people, I'll be honest, no one in the room other than John had heard of Annie Malone. So I said, we got to do something about that. So I asked Akbar to make me some mugs and send them out to all of our CEO Council members. I also got some postcards made. So instead of sending thank you cards with the Chamber logo on, I send out postcards for thank yous with Annie Malone's face on them. Because I believe we have to tell these stories. My hometown is Durham, North Carolina. We have a history around one of America's Black Wall Streets. And that's history that I didn't get in school growing up in that town. But the minute I found out about it, I decided I wanted to celebrate it. And some friends of mine started something called the Black Wall Street Homecoming. And it was about 6 years ago. We created an event where Black entrepreneurs from across the country can come home to Black Wall Street and convene and create entrepreneurial opportunities and pitch for venture capitalists and make their dreams come true. And so as I heard about Annie Malone, I'm like, we got to do something like that here in Peoria. Annie Malone is history, but I hope that Annie Malone becomes our future. I hope that the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship and inclusive economic development can live on through a celebration of Annie Malone. So not to let the cat out the bag, but Brother Akbar and I are working closely on some big ideas to make Peoria the capital of Black innovation and entrepreneurship in the Midwest, as it once was when Annie Malone was carving out her legacy here as a teenager and eventually on to St. Louis. So I'm really proud to be here today, excited about what's to come, grateful for John and Bill and the team here at the museum for lifting up this story. I've brought probably 100 people in my family here to see it, and we'll continue to celebrate that legacy. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jarrell Loveless. I'm the Chief Development Officer at Annie Malone Children and Family Services in St. Louis. We are incredibly honored to be here today, and I share those sentiments. You feel the excitement in the room. Everyone that I've talked to, it's just so wonderful to be surrounded with so many brilliant people here today. So we are a social services agency, and Annie Malone's legacy lives on to this day through our work. Our headquarters are actually in a building that Annie Malone donated to us. So we still actually work in what used to be an orphanage. Our offices are bedrooms. So it's an amazing place to be. And last year during the pandemic, we were honored to serve more than 500 children and families experiencing a crisis. So to this day, we actually expanded our programs. We have a therapeutic school now that has services for children with behavioral challenges. We have a parenting program that's dedicated to reunifying children with their parents. We have a crisis center, a crisis nursery. So we have so many programs that are available for the community. And also, I heard it mentioned earlier, we have the second largest African American parade in the country. So it's one of those things. When I came to work, I actually came back to St. Louis to work for the agency. But one of the things that I learned very quickly as I got to know a lot of the community members, we sit in the middle of a community called the Ville in North St. Louis City. And as I got to know a lot of the community members, everyone had an Annie Malone story. And it has been such an honor and such a pleasure to get to know everybody's Annie Malone story. They have May Day stories, the May Day Parade stories. They sometimes show up at our building just to walk through the building because it's that historical. And like I said, Annie Malone's legacy lives on through the work that we do to this day. So I am honored to be here today for this dedication and open invitation to everybody here. If you're ever in St. Louis, look us up. We'd love to have you. So thanks again, and I wish nothing but the best moving forward for you all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. So beginning in 1896, Annie Minerva Turnbull Malone came to live right here in Peoria, Illinois. Annie Malone attended Peoria High School but had to withdraw due to frequent illnesses. It was during this time of illness that Annie Malone began to devote her time to hairdressing. From her brief lessons in chemistry while in high school, she had acquired enough knowledge to begin experimenting with various hair products. At this time, many African American women were using products that left permanent damage to their hair and scalp. These products included goose fat, bacon grease, heavy oils, soap. Her journey to becoming a millionaire started right here in Peoria, Illinois. We fast forward to August 6, 2021. Peoria Public Schools made history by being the first school district to honor Dr. C.T. Vivian with a school named in his honor, another individual that has roots right here in Peoria, Illinois. We have 6 more schools to be renamed after individuals that have made a positive impact in our community. I'm proud to say that today, as president of the Peoria Public School Board, District 150, I will be placing my full support in making sure Annie Minerva Turnbull Malone is one of the individuals to be honored with the school in her name. Thank you.
Thank you all, Team Annie Malone. A couple other quick introductions. A legend in his own right and a member of the county board. We're in a county building, so the landlord, Junior Watkins. Stand up and be recognized, Junior Watkins. Also want to recognize Colleen Johnson from the Peoria Historical Society, who I know has a very great interest in this subject, is a superb partner to us here at the Peoria Riverfront Museum. To all of you, a little special surprise, although she is now in the world of teaching. She came straight from class, the curator who spent years literally working on this exhibition, started in graduate school when she did her research on this, and culminated with this extraordinary exhibition. You're invited to go see it, and for the public, please come experience this. But with us, step forward so we can at least see what she looks like. Lottie Fittis, the curator, put this whole thing together. Thank you, Lottie. So, on behalf of all of us at the Peoria Riverfront Museum, is this a good day? It's a good day in Peoria. God bless you all, and let's keep this spirit alive. She's with us. How about it? God bless.